everybody, it is Romania Black, and we are going to be gun busting our way through this 1988 episode 2. Yeah! Man, it feels weird watching a show from the 80s. This show is as old as I am. I'm concerned. Now, last episode was a lot of fun. Last episode was really great. We got to meet our girl, our maid lady herself, and she has gone off into space. Yes, Kazumi is ready to go off into space and go find her dad, who she believes is still alive somewhere out there. Others are not so convinced. They believe that he's died, but she's got hope, and she's got her senpai alongside her. There supposedly are 2 other male pilots that I'm like, okay, are we going to meet them, I'm assuming, and we're going to have like a Power Rangers situation? Are they all going to combine together and do Voltron or who knows what else? I guess we'll find out. And then we have our coach, who is just the stereotypical 80s, 90s, like, weirdly feminist, but not coach. He's great. I love him. I love him so far. I was thinking about this the other day, because I know everybody's really excited for my reactions over on Patreon for this series, and I have a moderator now, which is great. That's exciting news. Hashtag thank you Sunspots for moderating this series. But I was thinking about it because I gave the outfits the girls were wearing a really hard time because they're not practical. But then you know what I thought about? This is not really spoiling anything, but the very beginning of Neon Genesis Evangelion, there's a main character that she is presented through a very male gaze, sexualizing lens. And the moment you see her in the first episode, you're like, okay, this is what they're doing with her character. And honestly, she kind of proves it wrong. They frame her in a certain way in that first episode, and then the rest of the series, they really don't come back to it a certain way. It's almost like, they speed ran an HBO series where the first part of it's like tits and vaginas and sex to get you hooked, and then it's like, okay, now there's a plot too, in case if you needed it. I'm sorry. I watched the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones with my parents in their living room. If you want to talk about an awkward time, and my mom looks over at me like, and I'm like, you just gotta get through these 2 seasons, and then it'll get better. Until it gets worse. Anyway, I'm really excited about Gunbuster episode 2 and to be diving into a series from the 80s. Before we start, though, I want to thank a number of people that have helped me on my Patreon over there. There are lots of tiers over on Patreon, from $1 all the way up to like $50 commissions, because people are crazy and I appreciate it. But the $10 commission tier is called the philanthropy tier, and it's for people who just support me a little bit extra each month. They get the videos a week early from everybody, and they get perks like breaking ties in the polls, because that can happen and has happened on this channel over on Patreon. So we have a new patron I want to recognize. So I want to give a shout out to Alex Cornejo, to Anime Annie, to Bryant Reed, to Be Happy, to Bisa, to Damage3245, to Dana, to Danger Zone, to Alexandra Q, to Devorin, to Destiny Marie, to Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Polzel, Linden, Matthew Palfinier, Murphew, as well as Adam Perez, Nicholas, Nago, Sunspots, Shimoyama, Trails, Translucent Men, Starman AA, and El Kuno. Thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So, we have gone Blue Origin style out into space. I don't know what these space monsters are going to be like. We've not really gotten much about them so far. But everything we just set up, we only have 6 episodes with this. We set up our characters. We've got a conflict. We've got a mission. And now we're going to see what we do from there. So, I'm excited. I hope you all are as well. But in any case, we are going to start Gunbuster episode 2. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and I'll see you all on the other side. Well, that was interesting. Oh, hi. If you've never been on my channel before this series, I'd like to introduce you to Whiteboard Coon. It took him long enough to show up, right? Whiteboard Coon is my explainer of all things. As an English teacher, I think it's important that sometimes we gotta break stuff down on a cellular level, and Whiteboard Coon is here to assist with that. And there was a lot of small things happening in this episode that after the reaction was over, I was like, yeah, I kind of need to bring Whiteboard Coon out because we kind of need to talk about this, and we kind of need to bring it out. And also, My dog's like, I was patient and now you got to throw this. So I'm going to be doing that most of the time with him. But anyway, I really liked this episode. This episode was great. This episode, the twist with the dad and the ship, I'm sure some people saw it coming a mile away, but I had lots of other thoughts when she was going to open that brig and open up the main bridge. I had lots of other thoughts. So that's why I was so surprised when it turns out, no, the ship is it's part of it's gone. Out of there, out of sight, out of mind. So we're gonna talk about that in this and what we do with that. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, so we actually start out this episode. We start out the episode with this battle taking place, and there supposedly is this space monster that can go very quickly and just impale and blow up ships by rapidly firing past them almost at light speed, which is concerning. And I don't blame them for getting the alien specimen to examine. Although, if you've ever watched any horror movie or sci-fi, sometimes getting the monsters as specimens doesn't work out well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the Luxion is one of the ships that is clearly taken damage. And they're evacuating it. And guess who the captain saves to put in the last damn pod? Cinematic brilliance. It's the coach. He gets put in the last pod to go. It's like the freaking Titanic. The captain always goes down with the ship. And he says, just one. And he's like, then get this young man aboard. And he's like, it should be you, sir. And he's like, no, you're going, you fool. He's like, but I just can't. He's like, you're still young. I'm like, you're not exactly old man, but live on and find what you must do. So there clearly was a conversation with them beforehand. What's interesting is that it seems like, I mean, are we assuming that the coach got his injury on the ship, or did he already have the eye gone from a previous experience? I don't know. It's funny that they brought up Moby Dick in this episode with some of the space shuttles being called that, because there is a part of me that does feel a little tied to Moby Dick in this story. So, without getting into spoilers of Moby Dick. So, there is kind of a connection. We'll put Moby Dick up here. And there is a thing of, is the coach, is he kind of like Ishmael? Call me Ishmael. Is he kind of like that? Do we think that the captain, or, I don't know if the Luxion is. I would say the Luxion's not anymore since we encountered it. And the space monster, I don't know exactly because we have one in custody. But is the captain essentially like the white whale? Or is there something else that could be that for the coach? Because for Noriko, and I called her Kazumi at the beginning on accident when I meant Noriko, but for Noriko, she had started out the series believing, and well, whether or not she truly believed it, we don't know, but she told us, the audience, she's like, my dad's still out there somewhere, which could still be true. Could still be true, actually. So we're going to talk about that. It could very well still be out there for all we know. But she started out the story saying that with such certainty that, no, my dad's not dead. He's out there, and I'm going to go out there in space and find him. But in this episode, it kind of comes out that, no, she actually does believe that he's died. She's just been in denial of it this whole time and has been using other language rather than just saying that, oh, my dad's dead. She's like, no, he's still out in space. And here she all but confirms that, she's been thinking that. She just doesn't want to say it, because once you say it and bring it into reality, it feels more concrete and real than just a theory. So, but the dad seems like a wonderful guy. He puts the other man's life ahead of his own. He stays down with the ship. He seems like he's just sitting there on the bridge, standing there looking down at I do love the one thing about this series that's so fun, that is so true to the 1980s, 1990s. There is the 80s and 90s, for those of you that didn't grow up in that time period, it's so intriguing because to me, I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, all throughout from then on. And it always felt like we were in such a very cool transition of technology where there was like this creative and industrial just nova of technology being created. It wasn't just like an industrial boom like in the early 20th century. It was just like people were throwing everything at the wall. Like, let's just do whatever and to make all this crazy technology. And when you look back on the 80s and 90s, some of it is so dated and instantly out of date and no one uses that anymore. But then you see like futuristic technology next to outdated ancient technology by today's standards, and seeing it merging in this same futuristic world is such a wild concept, and it's such a crazy thing. Like when he looks down at the photo that he has, it's an animated photo of his daughter telling him, it's basically AI, kind of, but not really. It's his daughter saying, I get to see you for my birthday, right, Daddy? And she waves. It's not AI. It seems like a recording that he has actually just turned on and just plays a recording on loop over and over again, which added a very creepy quality to like him with her with the thing over and over again on loop. Okay, hear me out. I was going to wait till we got to the monster, but I might as well say it. Is it possible that this is going to take a super crazy sci-fi twist and the dad's going to end up becoming one of the space monsters? I don't know. The space monsters in the tube look like giant moths. They look creepy. They have like a fly element, like I think it's the 70s or 80s film, The Fly. They have that kind of element. And a lot of sci-fi goes into weird places. It goes into weird places. So I'm like, is it possible the dad's going to turn into one of these space monsters and she's going to have to fight him? It's only 6 episodes, so I don't know if we're going to get that far. But what would be the most angsty thing they could do? Have her dad become one of the monsters she has to destroy. That would be the angstiest thing you could do. So I don't know if they're going to actually go through and go that far, but I did feel really bad that she, like, it's very creepy that he has it on loop. And you can just tell he's a sincere, sad guy. He just wanted to see his daughter one more time. Super sad. And then he says he's sorry. And then there's this flash, right? So there is this flash and it's an explosion. We don't know exactly what has happened, but it seemed like the ship just disappeared. And we find out later it's been floating through time and space. But yeah. So anyway, let's get past the OP. One thing this series did not do, which I thought was interesting, was that they did not have a content warning at the beginning of this episode, which... considering the nudity, I guess other than the nudity, there wasn't really anything that was... I'm surprised by the fact that because of the nudity, they didn't have like an 18 and over like content warning, because I couldn't imagine like a little kid turning this on being like, oh, but maybe the content warning was just for the series as a whole and they're not going to do it for the rest of the episodes. I don't know. So this is called Daring, the Genius Girls Challenge, or basically 2 lesbians with a lot of tension between them. So the ship, I liked a couple things about them pulling in with to the space station in the ship. One, that they're like, don't smoke, which is such a wild concept. This is like hundreds of years in the future, or it's technically 2025 in this world, but it's now in this world. But it's so funny because it's like we think of smoking and like the idea of just saying, please don't smoke is such a not sci-fi futuristic saying, but they're still doing it there. And then the other thing is they're like, oh, your stewardess today on this flight was Natsuko Ohara. And then your pilot was Fujio Murakami. I wonder if those are like cameos. I wonder if they're people in the staff that they just wanted to give a shout out. And so they put them as the pilot and the stewardess. That's kind of cute. But yeah, they show up to the station and it looks smaller than it actually is. Excellion, the newest space battleship. Now, at first, Noriko is like, oh, it doesn't look that big. It's smaller than I expected. And then I love that the coach is like, well, then keep looking, damn it. Don't insult the space station. And then when you get closer, you start to see all the parts and pieces and exactly how big it truly is. And it is quite massive. Because you see that there are ships moving around the parts and pieces. And I liked this thing that he says here, like the stuff moving around parts and pieces are so much, they look tinier than they are. And he says the vacuum of space can confuse your sense of distance and size. So don't forget that. I feel like that is a very important foreshadowy thing to say. Like, things will look smaller in space, and then when you get up close and realize how freaking big they are, you'll be like, oh. So I feel as if that's very much foreshadowing of, you know, I don't think it's with just the ship, the Lexion, that they stumble across. I feel like it's going to come into play later on. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, so they get to the space station, and then they see a Soviet machine. Come on, Soviet Union. I think of immediately Katya from Drag Race. It feels so weird. Buddy, be nice. There's probably a deer outside. I have an old globe from the early 90s that I have at my parents' house, and it's got just like, it has the Soviet Union and a lot of those countries that are broken up now. It still has them on there, and it's weird. It's like when you see things from past history in the making here, it's interesting. But yeah, so they get aboard, which is where Jung. I like that we just immediately meet her. There is no mystery set up. They're just like, nope, she's here. She's here with her frizzy ends. All of them next to this sign that says Path of Sincerity. We'll see about that. And all the captains. But immediately, the setup rivalry between her and Amano, where it's like the red versus blue. I mean, could you get more on the nose with it? And then in the same pose, Noriko's just like stuck in the middle. Also, I was trying to think of all the different characters that Jung reminded me of. And I was trying to think, in Archie comics, there was a character. What was her name? It wasn't Veronica. It wasn't Betty. Who was she? She was the one character. She has red hair. Cheryl Blossom. That's what it is. Cheryl Blossom. She looks just like Cheryl Blossom. And Cheryl Blossom's first appearance was in 1982 in the comics, so technically she came first. But yeah, she has the red hair and green eyes, just like Cheryl Blossom from the Archie comics, who Amano kind of looks like Veronica from the Archie comics too, so there's that. Unfortunately, Noriko looks nothing like Betty, so we can't quite fill the analogy. But yeah, Cheryl Blossom is who Jung reminds me of a lot. And they introduce her as somebody that Amano kind of knows, maybe, possibly. So, yeah, instantly they have a rivalry with one another. And this man comes out and he's like, you're on the Silver Star now, and introduces himself as Tatsumi Toshiro with the illiterate name. We're all about a lot of alliteration here. So he says, Jung Freud from the lunar base. She's like, my tits are bigger than yours. A genius in space combat. She does seem to know her way around a robot flying in space. And Amano's like, oh yes, I know of her. Who doesn't know of her? And then Kazumi Amano and Noriko Takaya. Yep, it'd be great if you get along. And she's like, sure. I love that whenever they do the glare, it's like they have the screen with the dots. It looks very comic book-esque over it. And then, of course, Jung is like, oh, is this your first time in space? And she's like, not at all. I've spent 3 vacations here. Like, they just try to one-up each other in this first encounter. It's great. Noriko's like, can't we all just get along? I think it's cool that we have pilots from all across the globe on the Excellion. I like the idea that they've brought in like 2 men, 2 women from each country, it seems, to represent and be on the space station, this battleship. Now, there's a couple red flags that are being thrown up in this scene here with the conversation from the man. He says that they are currently being built, the space station, at a fever pitch. Look, I don't know at what point humanity is going to figure it out, but building things quickly is not always the best course of action. That phrase, Rome wasn't built in a day, has some meaning to it. And when you just throw things together as fast as you can, there are mistakes that are made, and it happens every time. So when this guy's like, oh, we're hurrying up this space station, I'm like, what's the threat? Are the space monsters organizing? Are they all attacking right now? We need more context. But I don't know if telling us you're building it as fast as you can is comforting. Because it says by the end of February, we should be ready to launch fully outfitted. It gives off Death Star 2 vibes, if you know what I mean. It gives off Death Star 2 vibes. Like, well, we might have rushed through this. There might be some problems. We'll worry about those later. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah, we're going to be fully operational by February, and we'll engage in an all-out attack on the space monsters. What I would like to know is a little more context of how frequently have the space monsters been attacking back. They don't quite establish that. They establish there have been space monster attacks, which is thus why they want to attack, but we don't know the frequency or, like, has it been a growing threat? There's a lot of variables they don't talk about in this that I'm curious about if we're ever going to find out. And they're like, at this point, my hope is that you all will truly be the top. So I guess I don't know what the top refers to, if it's a certain status or if there's a select few that go to the top. If we lose this battle, humanity will have no future. I like Noriko she's following along his speech. Meanwhile, Amano and Jung are like eye screwing each other from across the room, being like, I'm gonna be the lead. No, I'm gonna be the lead. To fit in as much training as you can the next 7 months. So they think that they're gonna have this done in 7 months. And we figure out by the end of this episode that, if I'm thinking right, 6 months have passed of those 7, which this series is only 6 episodes. So I understand you gotta speed some things up. So we have 7 months until the Excellion is operational. And 6 months pass in this episode. So that does not leave us a lot of time, but we'll be at the halfway point next week of the whole dang season. So I'm not used to a series that's only 6 episodes, and I have to tell myself, I'm like, no, we're going through this because we have a lot of ground to cover and not a lot of time to do it. So, okay. Which I do like the pacing of this series. I think it doesn't lag. And I was trying to talk about this during the reaction, and I kept getting distracted by the plot. But I am a huge fan of like the maximalist, detailed 80s and 90s animation. I've seen it was seen in Western art. It's been seen in anime like this, but it's just like the detailed backgrounds. Everything is just detailed within an inch of its life. The hyper realistic settings and everything. I feel like a lot of modern anime, some of them have amazingly detailed backgrounds, so I don't want to say it's a universal thing, but some of them kind of are like, we don't need so much detail on the setting as we do the characters and the expressions and stuff like that. And I appreciate that 80s anime was like, we're going to give you a maximalist, ultra detailed, hyper realistic background and then have our characters interact in it. It seems like the total opposite as it is in a lot of modern anime, but I mean, it's like apples and oranges, right? Now, here's the thing. I do like the way that their outfits are designed in this series, especially in this episode, from the waist up. I like the ladies' outfits design. It kind of gives me like 90s Mortal Kombat female fighter, outfits. Is it practical? I don't know about that. But damn, I don't think I'll ever get over the bottoms of their outfits with the cutouts. If you've ever worn a bathing suit like that it's so uncomfortable having like your sides cut in. I don't know. Clearly, I don't know if a woman was hired to design those outfits. So they talk about the space is going to be different to move around in. You're going to have to get used to it. But then we just have this battle between Amano and Jung. Now, granted, it looked amazing. I loved the expressions. I love that Amano and Jung are just trying to establish, that they're rivals, that they both consider to be best of the best, and they have to duke it out. Did it go on for quite a while for this episode? Maybe. But I thought it's establishing their opinions of one another and establishing for us, the audience, that that's going to be something we have to deal with this season, is the two of them kind of being rivals. Meanwhile, Noriko does not have a competitive bone in her body in that regard, right? But I do love all the detailed imagery with the panels and the combat and everything. So Jung notes that our girl Amano has a Sekyun style combat stance, sword slanted, ready to intercept. And she tries to use the kick that Noriko used, but it did not have the same effectiveness of Noriko's. I think she jumped the gun just a wee bit. But what ends up happening is that Noriko goes to find them, and we end up discovering a monster specimen. Which, what the fudge? This thing is like, it's got like tubes going up into it. I'm like, again, what is this, Trigun? And then it has like this moth body. There's like intestines, organs. It's got this creepy like cicada chrysalid shell. It's a corpse. You can see where they fired through it with some kind of blaster. It is creepy as hell. And it has little arms jutting out like it could grab someone and eat them. Nope. And it's freaking huge. It is huge. I love when they go down to Jung's When they go down to Zheng's expression, she's just like, and just blinks heavily. Also, Zheng has the same outfit as all they do, so apparently they make all their women wear uncomfortable jazzercise outfits to do space combat. Not practical, y'all. But yeah, it's a space monster corpse. That's so crazy with all of the... It's got like claws, but then it also has like hands above it. What the fudge? But why? And of course, Noriko's like, is that the thing that possibly killed my dad? And Amano's like, oh shit, she's emotionally compromised. That's a problem. Yeah. And it's got these like a mouth and all these eyes like a spider. That's so wild. That's so wild, y'all. What? So yeah, I love Noriko as a character. I think she's great. Noriko's problem is that she is very, very, very much more emotionally compromised in this mission than I thought she was going to be. Like, I figured she was going to get reckless about finding her dad because, I mean, wouldn't you? But I didn't realize how emotionally unstable she was about him until this episode. And I was like, oh, you nearly jeopardized everyone's lives in this one mission because you really wanted to see your dad. So, yikes. And then she has the vision of him coming home. Now, two things. One, I loved the aha take on me kind of charcoal-esque scribbles of him walking through in nostalgia. That was really well done. Loved the animation. It looks like there's her shoes, the mom's shoes. There's another kid's shoes there. So do they have a sibling? Maybe. But yeah, when she's turned 6 years old. And then he laughs and he's like, ah, ha, 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 ha. That part was really funny. He came home at the speed of light. So then I was like, what is all this grid? But it's security. Security finds them. I loved the Converse product placement of the coach and his shoes. AWOL during a training exercise. And they get them Converse in that shot. Trespassing on military installations. Interfering with a top secret enemy artifact. My favorite part is he lists all of their grievances. He's like, you should both be confined to the brig, but then I can't get you trained. And that's even worse. I can't whip you into shape if you're in the brig. So the best part about it is he's like, so I pulled some strings. I asked the captain to keep quiet. That is the most realistic thing so far in this series, is the fact that this coach used the power of authoritative privilege to pull some strings and get those girls out of trouble. That is just so realistic. God, that's so funny. I love it. And it's not meant to be funny, but it is. One more screw up and I'll lock you away. Am I understood? I'm curious to know if the coach was different when he was on the Luxion and losing Noriko's dad altered him in any way. I don't know if we're going to get more into that. But I guess we'll see. So anyway, we go to the bathing scene. Can we talk about the bathing scene? We're going to talk about the bathing scene where he said even when he came planet side, he wasn't home. Okay, one, the US there with the landing on the moon is such a interesting choice for the bathhouse. I'm curious, those of you that were born in the US, or even those that you weren't, those of you that weren't, do I think that the US has been to the moon? Mm-hmm. Do any of you think that the moon landing video is fake? My only thing, I've watched the moon landing video, my only thing is, why does the flag blow? There's no wind in space. It drives me crazy because I don't know the answer. But I'm like, there's no wind in space, so how does the flag blow? I don't know. Comment down below with your conspiracy theories. But let's talk about this bath scene. This episode was passing all sorts of tests. I was like, okay, cool. We've got Zheng. She seems fun. She seems fiery. She's got a rivalry with Amano. We have the tension of the scene on the ship. That was so well done. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That's my favorite scene in the whole episode. It's so freaking good. But this bath scene, I was like, Romania, you are being a prude. You are being too harsh on these girls and their jazzercise outfits. They're fine. Male gaze. What male gaze? And then we get this bath scene. And at first it was fine. I have nothing against the bath scene. The bath scenes, I'm sure someone has made a video about this. If not, they need to. But it feels like there is a rhetoric with the bath. Because in a lot of movies, like in Game of Thrones, in Grand Budapest Hotel, in so many other movies and series, the bath is like a safe space for characters to reveal their inner insecurities. Like in nearly any bath scene, whether it's anime or Western film or whatever genre, the bath scenes are like for characters to sort of decompress and also let out tension, not only physically, but also emotionally and mentally and narratively. So there's a really cool like theme with the bath houses that are in series like this. So I'm all for the bath scene. And it kind of connects that she's like, he'd make time once a year on my birthday to wish me happy birthday. I like this scene. It's a great opportunity for these two characters to bond. And it's really nice. He's like, just so he could say it. Happy birthday, Noriko. And so this bath scene's fine. I think it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. Up until she's like, well, then he'd go back rushing off to his work. She gets out of the bath. And I was like, okay, we see some boobs. I'm like, sure. Am I a little bit weirded out that she's like barely 18, if that? Yeah, but it's fine. It'd be such a huge loss for our force if you were in the brig, big sis. I'm like, yeah, could you have had the angle of this scene to where it wasn't just showing her breasts in the scenes? Sure. Are those breasts not as big as what that damn animation in the opening suggests? You tell me. But I was like, fine. You know what? Fine. Don't be a prude, Romania. It's fine. Gonna make note, in all of the male bath scenes, do we ever see any peni? I don't think we do. So I was like, whatever, it's fine. It's okay. This is fine. And then Jung comes in. Where Parasite let me off to. Then Jung comes in. Carpet's not matching the drapes, just saying. And I think it's interesting she has this cross that she wears around her neck. Is she religious? I don't know. Maybe. But she's like in such a chipper mood. Just walks in nude being like, girls, I gotta apologize. And also her hair is somehow longer. Maybe she had her hair up like this. If she had like the sides of her hair up, then yeah, sometimes that does make the underside look shorter. Okay. But she's like, it's my fault you got chewed out by the coach. She's in a very good mood though, right? And so she's like, I'm sort of bad around new people. And you know, one thing leads to another. She's like a totally different person in this scene. I'm like, are you that desperate to get these girls to come to your birthday party? Or do they just have 6 episodes and we got to round out, you know, her character development? She says, you really are awesome, big sis. I wonder too if maybe her coach or whoever is with her was like, you need to go to apologize and don't be mean or something or whatever. Or maybe it's part of a deception. I don't know. It is completely different than how she was at the start, right? They said you were good, but I never expected you to be like incredible. Now here's where the bath scene, I was like, okay, show. They didn't have her get in the water at all. They did not have Jung get in the water at all. They had her cross her legs with them big pumpkin boobs out front and center, just to have an excuse to have tits on the screen. That's literally all that scene is. And it's fine, but where's my coach with his dick out scene to just balance it out? Hashtag feminism. If you give us 3 pairs of boobs, I expect 3 equal pair of penises in another shot. Just joking. Nobody wants to see penises. But anyway. Also, why is the bath... I'm sorry, I have to rant about this because the guys pass by later doing their exercise around the base and the girl's like, oh no, don't look at our naked selves. Why is the bath got a window where you can see outside? I mean, I guess it's supposed to be scenic, but if you're doing military training around of it, that seems kind of weird. I'm just like, what? Why don't you have it tinted? Like, you have space age technology, tint them windows where you can see out, but people can't see in. What is this? And then the other thing was... the moon is great. It's so easy on my boobs. You know what? I'll give the show this. That would probably be a conversation that women would have in this situation. I have been blessed with having a very small bust. So I don't have back problems, but like my best friend, she's actually in the process of getting a reduction. She has like G's, like maybe even H's. They're like huge. And they just hurt her back so much. And she's like, I can't anymore. They are medically a problem. So she's like, I need to get these taken down to like a C or a D. So, which is still, but yeah. So whenever she was like, the moon, the anti-gravity is good on my boobs, I'm like, you know what? We probably would have that conversation because it probably would be true. But the water being see-through, and seeing the boobs through the water, gratuitous fan service. Gratuitous. Where's my coach dick? That's hashtag where's my coach dick. I demand equality. I'm joking. I don't want to see any of that, but it is like the most ridiculous thing if we're being honest. Not like here at all. My bra chafes and my shoulders ache. And before long, I'm going to start sagging. I know it. No, girl, you're probably right. That's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Am I right, girls? Am I right? I mean, she's not wrong. They probably would have that conversation in the shower house, but they would not say, am I right, girls? Yeah. This might be an odd way to apologize, but you need to come to my birthday party. If that wasn't the most unsubtle plot point, like injunction, just being like, oh, by the way, birthday party, it's going to be a great time, going to be a rager, better be there. I mean, okay, maybe she wants to make friends. But then she says that it's the next month after the 12th, and she's like, oh, that's the same birthday as mine. So they're born on the same day? Interesting. We should plan a big party, the both of us. So they have the same birthday. That's convenient. Interesting. Now, Zheng's like, that coach is totally hot. Girl, I mean, that would be, again, a conversation we would have in the bathhouse, being like, by the way, your coach is really hot. Is he single and available? I'm like, okay. He is a bit older than them, so I don't know how that works. And when she asked when his birthday was, obviously she wanted to plan like a threesome birthday party, but she's like the day before yesterday. And she's like, oh, well, crud. Horoscope's all messed up. So yeah, again, these guys passing by, again, literally the male gaze right on our screens at work for us. Mm-hmm. And they were all looking, even though they were going around, they were all looking in the shower house. So creepy. Not a fan. Anyway, so I mainly wanted to bring Whiteboard Coon out for this scene where we're tracking everything, like all the wavelengths. Again, I love the futuristic technology mixed with 80s tech. It's great. So Neptune's orbit. So Ohta. Yeah, Ohta is the coach's name. We need to know what it is. There's something that's around the orbit. The object approaching from the solar system. So they want to figure out what this object is. The Perseus arm traveling at 99.8% light speed. It's going to graze. All it will do is graze the orbit at this rate. But for an object that size, be traveling fast is unusual. So basically, they wanted to make sure that whatever was going to get into their orbit wasn't something that was a threat. So they're like, it's weird that this object is moving that fast. So we probably need to like go check it out and make sure it's not, going to be a hazard or put anybody at risk. So I like that. That's good. He's like, I want you to figure out what it is and investigate. I did love this scene where the guy's like, could we get an image? And he has like, it looks like Morse code, like just like mapped out. And he's like, no, it's a Doppler. Yes, the Doppler Lorentz shift is rough from here, so I'm afraid not. I love that. That's cool. He's like, we'll have to go see for ourselves. Okay, has anybody ever seen the series, the little short Dangeresque off Homestar Runner? With the aviators on, Coach Ohta gives a Dangeresque vibe, which just makes me chuckle. So yeah, do we have any light speed battleships near Neptune? No battleships, sir, but there's a training ship out on asteroid duty there. Okay, Spiegel. And it says if you use the external boosters, you could accelerate 2 machine weapons up to sub-light speed. So basically they're going to take this one ship that was already out on duty and take the Moby Dick 1 and the Moby Dick 2, the two machine weapons, to fly up to the object at sub-light speed and then see what it is from that direction. I like they instantly approve Amano, but they don't immediately approve Takaya. They want Zheng to go instead. And Ohta makes his excuse being like that they're Gunbuster candidates. We still don't know what Gunbuster is. They're conveniently, and keeping the mystery alive, not telling us what it entails. But the one guy seems kind of intrigued about them being Gunbuster candidates. He's like, this is a good opportunity for them to experience light speed travel. Curious. So sorry. I got Huckleberry and nabbed him in the foot. Oops. My poor dog. I bumped him. So all we know about the Gunbuster is that he wants Amano and Noriko to be candidates. And they will need to know about light speed. Okay. Cool. I do appreciate that they're keeping a lot of this in mystery. They're not just giving it away. They want to make us, like, wait and figure out what it is. And this guy's like, okay, sure. So yeah, we don't know what the object is at first, but I love that shot of the asteroid field. It's so good. So yeah, the timing of the acceleration. You hang on and focus on enduring the G-forces. Yeah, easier said than done. All of this sounded terrifying, and I would be able to handle none of this. So, okay. The moment you depart, I'll set out from the Silver Star on a sublight recovery vessel, which is what he ends up doing, right? The recovery vessel. And then I'll catch up to you 1 minute later by your clock. The target is traveling at near light speed, so don't get swept away by the ether. Okay, and the max operation time is 10 minutes. Each minute we spend is 3 months on Earth. Okay, so 10 minutes by that time. So 10 minutes, each minute is 3 months. So that's a total of 30 months. Which is crazy. So each minute we spend there, the way that time works, which is wild, doing the math. So those 10 minutes that they were there is, well, they said they were 12 seconds late. They were 12 seconds late. So how does that end up working out? Because 30 months, you've got 12 months in a year. So it's basically almost 2 years. So it's 2 years and 6 months, right? Is how long they were gone. That's wild. 2 years and 6 months in that 10-minute time span. I'm sorry, what? That is insane. And then 12 seconds. If 1 minute is 3 months, and if 1 minute is 3 months, and there's 60 seconds within that, we would say that 20 seconds equals 1 month. So a little bit less than that. So it ends up being about 2 years and close to 7 months. That's insane. That's insane. That 10-minute journey did that. Well, that's because here was my thing. If they pointed out later on that it had been only like 2 days on the ship, it had been 2 days worth since the battle, but like that 2 days was equivalent to 10 years on Earth. So I was like, I had full expectations that a couple things were going to happen. When she opened that hatch door to the main bridge, I thought that her dad was going to be like a skeleton, just still on the bridge, a skeleton because he'd been trapped there. Or he was going to be like an ancient old man. That was going to be a thing. Or she was going to open up and like a space monster was going to be in there and would have ate him. I had like all these scenarios of like the worst possible thing that could be behind door number 1. And instead, the answer is there's nothing. It's all gone. It's not even part. And the creepy part is it's just like opening a door to hell because it's like there's nothing there and you're still moving at light speed. What's making the ship move at light speed? That's so wild. Yeah, screw around, you'll end up like Rip Van Winkle. So yeah, I want to point out too, this scene where they go after the ship and everything, and we see the insides of the ship and all that. If all goes well, you'll be back the day before our party. Okay. Sure thing, but they end up not making it, right? Yeah. I feel like, but aren't they going to be gone for 2 years and 7 months? I don't know how that works. Somebody's going to have to do the math with me in the comments because math is not this girl's strong suit. She is an English teacher. So yeah, but I love all the details on the inside of the ship. It looks so good. All of the insides of their ships, all the control panels and everything. I love when they cut to Amano. She has like the blue tones, but her ship has red and green tones. So it's really super cool. And then Noriko is always this like orange color. And Jung is purple. And then you have Ohta in the green and everything. Nice. So yeah, they managed to go into contact. And it's an Earth ship. It's the Luxion. Which in that moment, whenever they're like the Luxion, at that moment, Ohta is like, oh shit. Nope. She's going to go AWOL. She's going to go rogue. He's like, don't let her near it. And it's like, nope, too late. But I love that instant was like, she's going to be emotionally compromised. And she is. And she ruins the one vessel that got her there and then goes into the main bridge. It's been 2 days since the battle for the ship. Auspicious day, Wednesday, Ram Ascendant. Yeah, and it says 21 of December 2015. That is so wild. It's only been 2 days in light speed, but it's been 10 years at home. That's insane. So yeah, so anyway, Ohta catches up and gets Amano to get on the ship and abandon the Moby Dick. He's like, if I'm not back in 3 minutes, deaccelerate without us. Are you understood? Okay, so they weren't there the whole 10 minutes there, right? They were just there for 3, maybe 4 minutes at the most, because they said it took them 20 seconds to get up there. So in that case, that means it was only like 9 months if they were only there for 3 minutes. So it was around maybe 9 months, maybe 10 months. Right? Am I right on that? Or am I wrong? You all will have to note in the comments down below, and probably then for episode 4, because I'll probably have episode 3 recorded before these comments get on Patreon, YouTube. Then probably for episode 4, I'll have this timeline figured out perhaps better. But yeah. And then they had on there, I liked that they had on the screen, like the pull lever, the emergency. I love all of this. And he's tracking her to figure out where she is. And then we see all this destruction and debris. So what did she look at first before she there was all this destruction where something had gotten in there and messed up with everything. And then there was the main bridge. But there's this debris floating around everywhere, which the gravitational pull is wild in this. And she opens it up. It's one of those things where it's like Pandora's box. Do you want to know? Or do you want to just not know the truth? And she chose to find out. And yeah, she opens it up. And that part there, oh my God. The fact that there's just nothing on the other side. It's completely gone. And it's just like flying into this there's just nothing there. It's insane. Nothing there but space. Oh my God. It's so creepy. And that's when he finds her and literally drags her ass back to the ship. For a second, I thought that Amano was going to leave her. I thought Amano was going to leave them. But then he's like, because he's like, prepare for the retrieval. And it was beyond. Okay, so it was like -7 seconds. So she waited. She waited an extra 12 seconds when she wasn't supposed to. Okay. I mean, I think that says for a lot for Amano, that even though he told her to leave, she wanted to wait and make sure that they got back in. So there's that. And then they deaccelerated. How late were we? And she said 12 seconds. Okay. So they want to go back to the ship after that moment there. And they get back to the Excellion, which looks like a Star Wars cruiser, but it's fine. And yeah, the Excellion casting off celebration. Well, you know, everybody's like, well, welcome aboard the Excellion. And she's like, it's so good to see you. You kept me waiting. We'll finally set out next week. So, I mean, like, essentially, I don't know if they show back up when they're, because in 7 months, it's been over 7 months, they got everything ready to go. Oh, we just sped run through that. Shit, that's what this is. Oh my God. So yeah, no, we are all good to go. You guys had a traumatic moment in Lightspeed, and while that was going on, they finished the damn ship. Holy cow. Well, that was convenient. I mean, we've only got 6 episodes, so we gotta get stuff prepared. And then Amano was really sad. I do like their bitching collared jackets. The bitchin' space jackets, I'm digging them. And she's like, well, it must have been rough when you learned about your father, that he was jettisoned out into space or could have been eaten and was just gone. And then she's like, cheer up. And of course Noriko's like, no. Poor Noriko. I don't blame her. She just got back and was dressed in these ridiculous outfits while they're all in these cool black and white, like, space age tuxes. You know. She's like, to you all, that happened 6 months ago. But for us, it was barely an hour. I don't know how the 6 months works, but I mean, she's like, let her have some time to herself. Good on you, Amano. Good on you. Yep. She's like, my birthday was 6 months ago, but I want to have a party, just the 2 of us. You came back to me just like you promised. And that scene with her dad when they're walking like down the road, I'm like, could you just tear into our hearts anymore? Could you? Could you? I feel bad for Noriko because she clearly loves her dad. It's clearly tearing her up that not only is he gone, but now she basically has confirmation, because how could he have survived? So I feel for her, but so yeah, so the Excellion is done. Space station done. First mission done. Zheng Met done. Bath time done. So okay. All right. And Ohta got them all out. So okay. I'm super curious to know your thoughts down below, especially with the math of all of this, because I'm sure I've messed something up. But in any case, I'm really excited for episode 3. I can't believe we're almost to the halfway point already. That's weird. But I'm excited to see what we're going to do about this whole Excellion thing and what we're going to do next. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Gunbuster. And I'll see you then. Bye.